Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. I am Kevin Baptiste, and I'm joined as always by my brothers Craig.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And Adam.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Adam, why don't you tell us what just happened at the Bermuda Championship this weekend?
Yeah, so coming into Sunday, we had 7 of the top 10 on the leaderboard having never won a PGA Tour event, which was really cool to see. After 72 holes, it was tied between 26-year-old Wyndham Clark and 48-year-old Brian Gay. Brian Gay knocked in a birdie putt on his first playoff hole, getting his 5th PGA Tour event. So Kevin, you faded Denny McCarthy, who finished 4th. Did you consider fading Brian Gay?
You know, he was on the short list, but I fade winner. It's so close these days. I never really know which category to put them in, but you know, happy to give the fade bump to McCarthy this week, and you know, maybe Brian Gay moving forward, he's going to be a sleeper pick or something. Maybe he can carry this momentum forward. You never know.
It's like hate and passion, right? They're so close. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
I have strong feelings. I just don't know which way to direct them. So yeah, it was a pretty tight finish as it turned out. It looked like Wyndham Clark was going to run away with it for a little bit. Craig, do you think he let it slip away, or did Brian Gay come and get it from him? What do you think?
I mean, I think you can always kind of put whatever lens on it you want. To me, Brian Gay went out there and won this. So that shot he hit in on 18 the first time. I think he had made a bogey, 3-putt bogey on 17, which was a par 5. But then he made a shot to a foot, 2 feet. To really
tap in birdie, really
put the pressure on Wyndham Clark. And Clark at that point, he had to make a birdie on 18 which he ran a healthy distance by, and then had a bit of a knee knocker.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was about 3 or 4 feet, which I was like, man, if he goes from the putt to win to then missing this, is going to be a little bit tragic. But but then like that putt he made in the playoff was just perfect. And so I don't know. I think when you make birdie on 18, birdie on like the 17th or 72nd hole on 18,
right,
and then birdie in the first playoff hole, you won it to me.
So what did they finish at? Was it minus 15 was the score that got them into the playoff? It was.
Yeah.
So the only thing I would say about that is, you know, Clark had got to 16 under, I want to say around the 13th or maybe even
11th,
earlier.
After 11th hole.
The 11th hole. And I know those holes coming in were tougher. You know, you needed to make your birdies early on that course, but it's hard, you know. I think he was pretty solid. It was pars throughout until I want to say he bogeyed the 16th, the tough par 3 16th.
Yeah, the par 3 that's exposed. He was in the bunker, and he kind of just he chopped it out. He just chopped it out right into the rough right in front, which was obviously going to be a bogey. He kind of, I guess, went up and down from there for bogey, but I don't know. 17's a scoring hole. It's a par 5. 18 I mean, we saw Gay do it twice today.
Yeah.
So there is an argument to be made that Clark kind of let it slip through his fingers.
I think he did, and you know, he had the chance to win it on 18, even after everything that had happened up until that point. And then he also had the chance to keep the playoff going, and he couldn't make the birdie putt again. So, you know, happy for Brian Gay, and he did.
He shot a 31 on the back.
Yeah,
and 64
he came.
on the down,
He came and got it, but it looked like it was Wyndham Clark's to potentially run away with, and he wasn't able to do that.
It was like a classic case of like, when you are there, you've got to step on the throat and like put them out, because you can't just let them hang around and leave them opportunities to come back. But it's still it only hurts you if someone comes back and tries to steal it, and that's what happened.
Think that just says something about winning a PGA Tour event. Like, all these guys have won on little circuits or on their amateur careers or whatever it is coming up, or in their college careers. But it's like, you can't really have any errors coming down the stretch. Like, you need to be pretty polished to get a PGA Tour victory.
Yeah, one of the cool things too is that Brian Gay's 48. So this essentially bridges him through till his Champions Tour career
and
starts.
Yeah.
Sorry?
And beyond, the 2022, 2023. Yeah, but
like, instead of having to shake, rattle, and roll into whatever tournament he can get status in, he'll get to pick his tournaments a bit more. So, he's not going to be able to compete on every course, and he's not going to be able to get into every event otherwise. But now, being with the winner's status as opposed to just his PGA status that he normally has for wherever he finishes, it just makes life a little bit easier for him.
I wonder if him and Stuart Sink are buddies. Maybe they'll have dinner together and raise a glass to their...
Yeah. I think I heard on the broadcast that Gay got his card in 99 or around
and he's
there.
Never lost
94. He first got it in 94, and then he hasn't lost it since 99. So, like, he had...
okay.
But still,
really?
20...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Or sorry, maybe that's when he first turned pro.
I was going to say, because... Yeah.
I think they were saying 99 was when he got his card. He's never lost it. And, he's a guy that has always been a short hitter. As this distance thing has evolved more and more and more, he's managed to play his game and sneak up, and this is his 4th tour victory. Good on him,
I thought it was his 5th, wasn't it?
He had 4 before.
He had 4
before. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, again, you can say what you will about Wyndham Clark. I do think he had an opportunity to go get one today. He's a guy I've staked as a long shot in the past. Like, I think he has a ton of game, and he really didn't look like he had anything going wrong in the first 11 holes today. He was playing great. I thought he was going to run away with it, and he didn't. It's not like he crumbled or anything like that. He just let a few shots slide away, and that's all it took in the end. So
the one thing I like about the Sink and Brian Gaze winning this year is, like, they know their opportunities to score, get their FedEx Cup points. Like, they kind of I'm sure they circled Bermuda, like, okay, short course, like top 50 in the world. There's not going to be many of them there. This is my opportunity. Let's score.
Well, the other thing too. So I was thinking about the types of guys that seem to have success on these courses, because we were talking about it with, Pat, going into Corrales, you were talking about Pat Perez and how his, like, resort course record is absurd, and all these little random tropical places that he has won or had very high finishes at. But I think, so if you think about the wind you get on these coastal courses, it makes you want to think of links golf, but then they talk about how links golf, especially in the wind, is like played along the ground. But then with the way these greens are structured and the Bermuda grass, you can't play along the ground like you do in links golf. So I think, to me, like, these, whether it's old journeymans like Brian Gay or Stuart Sink, or like someone like a Denny McCarthy who is not as long of a hitter but has a rock solid short game, or Brendan Todd last year, like, I think these are the courses that really they have to think, a Wyndham Clark or an Ollie Schniederjans, who are 2 other guys who were in the top 5. Both of them are more distant. Like, they have the power and compete in almost a different way. But for these other guys, these courses are perfect opportunities for them to steal them. Yeah.
I think these are my strategy this week with picking my one and done anyways, was to go with a ball striker. It was like, I picked Grillo. He's not the best putter on tour, but I figure he was going to hit the ball where he wanted to hit it. And that's what I think is so important when you're playing in windy conditions. You need to start it where you want to start it and have the right spin on it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to fare very well out there.
Yeah. I think also, so this course seemed to have a lot of holes where you couldn't drive. So say par 4s that you can't drive, but they're shorter. So if you come up, you might be able to get within 60, 70 yards, but there's not a huge advantage between that and being at 100 yards. Yeah. So it really does benefit the guys who they're like, I'm going to hit my perfect distance to my full whatever wedge I've decided I want to hit in. And the guys who hit it maybe 30, 40 yards past them, it really doesn't give you a whole lot.
Which kind of is something like maybe the tour should take a look at, is not making these courses that are 7,100 yards, 7,600 yards to try to deal with the distance problem. Like, maybe keep them where they're at and let the guys, like you say, let the guys play their game. If
let the long hitters have the advantages on par 5s, or like, I mean, they'll always have advantages. You'll always have advantages on a golf course being a longer hitter, but make it so that they don't have advantages on every hole throughout the round.
Yeah. And I loved the comment the broadcaster made about how with Brian Gay always being a short hitter, they're like, that he's had a solid wedge game his whole career, and that's how he's been able to hang out here. And
you don't hang around otherwise.
Sure enough, what did he do when he had to? He had 2 wedges on 18, and he hit him close enough to birdie both times. Like that's just a journeyman knowing what he playing into his wheelhouse.
Professional right there.
Exactly. I love it. I love it.
One other thing, just before we kind of get away from that, to me, these events too in Bermuda, the course and the setting itself is like a character and like part of the story. Just this cool little rock in the sea where there's more golf courses per capita than anywhere else in the world, and I just think it's really cool.
I like these tournaments too, that weaker field or whatever you want to call it, but I just look at it as such an opportunity for these guys that are younger or looking for their first win or whatever. And Brian Gay obviously has won before, but lots of guys had opportunities today to get that first victory, and it's fun to watch. It's almost
like the top dogs aren't there, so you're essentially, you got your up and comers battling against your journeymen, and it's like, hey, you gotta pass this bar before you want to be admitted to the club. And it's like,
you want to win, come and win. Yeah. So who else we got on the leaderboard? Craig, we got your boy Doc Redman.
Yeah, so happy to see him up there. The one thing, love the fact that he was competitive this week. I think the one thing that I was saying in our My Boys episode was that really I want to see him get his first win this year. And going into Sunday, it felt like it was a great opportunity for that. So that's like the one bittersweet note that it leaves.
I thought it was his day. I really did.
Yeah. So he was tied for the lead.
I think he's sort
going
of
in, right?
Sorry, Adam?
He was tied for the lead after Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just didn't really have it.
Yeah, it was too bad. I really expected him to go get it, and Wyndham just got off to a hot start. And like I say, I thought he was going to run away with it. Brian Gay kind of came out of nowhere to challenge him. But
it's not like he lost it or anything. It's more just he was -2 on the round, and he had a lot of putts that, at least when I watched, it starts at 4 a.m. for me here, so I only got to watch the tail end of this thing, but it looked like he had a few hang on the lip at least in terms of putts.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I'll get into that later. But, Craig, I think you also want to bring up Ollie.
Oh yeah, so Ollie Schniederjans. So to me, one of the cool things about this tournament, first off, Ollie and his brother Luke were playing their first professional event together. Luke did not make the cut, but Ollie did. But the other funny thing, so we do our Wednesday night Twitch show where we just, whoever shows up, we chat with them about different, mostly related to DraftKings DFS plays and stuff. But, and someone had mentioned Ollie Schniederjans as a sleeper. Do you remember the name? I think it was King Kyle.
Someone also mentioned Wyndham Clark.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because they were like Wyndham Clark in the wind.
I forget who that one was, but anyways, this one I think was King Kyle.
I need to start tuning into this Twitch podcast more. Maybe get some better picks.
So I knew very little about this guy, but then I started looking him up, and then I featured him in a few of our, I think maybe just one of our showdown days, and he was super solid. He's someone who's ping ponged back and forth a little bit between the PGA Tour and the Corn Ferry, so hopefully he can use this momentum a little bit.
He can go so low though. I've played him a couple of times in just like different tournament parlays when he's been on like Webb or Corn Ferry Tour. Just he can go out there and just like lap the field. It seems like sometimes.
Well, he is. When I mentioned him on the showdown video, he was number 2 on the Corn Ferry Tour in birdies. So you know that there can be a lot of birdies down there, and it means you're doing you're making putts and you're hitting shots tight.
The other thing with him is, so he was playing, his brother Luke was playing, but I think his other brother was his caddy.
All three of them.
They're having a time down in Bermuda.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who would be who. Like, clearly I would be Ollie. Maybe Kevin's the one who missed the cut, and Adam can be on the bench.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, except the only reason
I'm still getting a check and Kevin isn't.
Yeah, the only reason I'm giving you Ollie is because you like to let it flow a little bit more. You gotta respect the flow, the no hat look. Craig's always been a little bit more of that, so I'll give you that.
The thing that I don't get though is like on a windy day without like I'd want to have sunglasses on even if it's not that sunny. Just like the eye watering.
Yeah. No, he's just putting it out there for everybody to see. Other guys on the leaderboard, Stuart Sink with another top 10. The guy is playing solid right now.
Although I'd be a little bit worried if I was his long-term caddy now because
Reagan's back on the bag.
Sun is back on the bag, and it's another good finish. After Reagan had left, and I think he had a couple finishes that were not so good. So
yeah, I just hope he's getting the same percent as the regular caddies. You know, he's not just getting a free trip to Bermuda.
Yeah, working off the room and board for the first 25 years of your life.
Yeah. But either way, I gotta figure it's a good deal for him.
Yeah.
So, so this is the first tournament with fans. Do you guys notice it? Did you?
I definitely noticed it. I mean, I feel like I've been watching some NFL on Sundays, and you hear the crowd noise. You're like, yeah, that just clearly seems fake. And a couple times I heard like the classic like golf clap. I'm like, they're pumping it. Oh no, they're not pumping that in. There's actually fans out there now. Yeah. I was confused at first, but I did
like the amount though. Like it would have been a little bit disconcerting if they had just packed it in again, you know? I think the other thing that is cool or like allows it to happen is Bermuda apparently their COVID protocols are crazy high because with a lot of places that are islands, if you can keep numbers low, you're in a good place. So
well, so that was something I wanted to bring up is like it just felt to me, especially watching today, that it was just a giant advertisement for Bermuda. It was constantly cutting to the shots of the cities on the island and
the ocean.
Bermuda has been proven to be beautiful, clean, safe.
Only 90 minutes from New York City.
With a great tech infrastructure, and it's like I feel for them in a big way because that the lack of tourism with so many places with COVID it's hurting them right now. And so I feel for them. It was just kind of funny how glaringly obvious it was at points, but that's sort of the way the PGA Tour operates too. So I'm glad they had their time.
Yours, and part of what they do is about promoting the local area. So
and realistically, if they've done as well as they have on COVID, that's great, and that's why they're allowed to do something like this and have fans there is because
this is the first. Oh no, I guess we did Punta Corrales. But they have not left the U.S. very much. The PGA Tour. This will be the second time, I guess.
Yeah. So then Adam, you had a bit of a something to bring up too about Pat Perez and Robert Garrigus.
Well, yeah, this Friday round, the second round didn't finish because of darkness. So there was a few people left out, but I think
really just two, which I'll get into a little bit. The good, the bad, and the ugly,
but that day was crazy with the wind. So that's when we saw the gusts over 35 miles per hour. The scoring average was 3 or 4 strokes more difficult than the Thursday, like the opening day. So the cut moved from, I think, starting at like 2 under on the day to 1 over. And I just saw this tweet when I woke up early on Saturday morning that Pat Perez and Robert Garrigus withdrew from the tournament. And I couldn't get to the bottom of it. They were both at +1, and I think they got early flights home on Friday.
Before the cut moved back, they
were playing in the AM wave. They got probably like a couple strokes over par. They're like, well, we're not going to get into the weekend. Get out of here. And they withdrew. They lost. Well,
and it was also worse scoring in the afternoon. So they were maybe did a little bit of math. Maybe it moved, but I don't see it moving that far. And
maybe even par.
It moved late, didn't it? It moved +1 pretty late.
Yeah.
But I think the trends, we could see the trends, right?
Yeah. If you were paying attention, I think you would have realized that there was a very, very good chance it was going to move there. Especially since the forecast was always for the wind to get worse and the gusts to get worse as the day went on. But I don't know what these guys' decision-making processes are like. They're like, okay, so maybe I hang around and I cash a $10,000 check, or I'll just take my chances.
It was so bizarre. I've never really heard or seen of anything like it before.
But like, so hard done by hanging around in Bermuda for a couple extra days. Like, it could be worse.
Yeah, maybe they just had really good Halloween costumes and wanted to get home.
Yeah, I guess that's probably it. You're right. So not really much to report in the pick recap here. It was, another fade bump for Denny McCarthy on my behalf there. Sleeper from Craig, Doug Gim, tied for 14th. That's pretty good. Adam, I think Adam's going to talk about it in more depth here right away, but nice little battle for top Canadian there. A good showing from the Canadian contingent.
Down the stretch with all three of our picks.
Yeah. So no real movement in the one and done.
Notable
managed to move back still.
I was on the Harold Varner the third train, and I don't know what he ended up. I think it was 80 on Friday to miss the cut when he was not in bad shape going into the day.
He was a victim of the wind for sure.
Yeah,
it was one of those ones where I was looking for Craig's one and done, and I'm scrolling through the leaderboard.
Like, I must have missed it.
I'm like, okay, I've missed it, and it probably happened twice before I got all the way down, because he had a pretty decent first round, didn't he?
He was 2 under, I want to say.
He was right there, yeah,
2 or 3.
Yeah. Anyway, tough break, Craig.
Yeah.
Why don't you, given the windy conditions we're talking about, why don't you get into your good, bad, and ugly?
Okay, so this week we're looking at the cut day Friday. It was windy, it was crazy. The good, first off, featuring Mr. Fred Funk, which is another one of our feel-good family stories, because he was playing with his son, Taylor Funk, who unfortunately did not make the cut, but Funk, so he was playing in the early wave, and he made a little chip shot on his last hole. I forget if it was 9 or 18, but at that point it looked like he needed to make that to get in, and so like his son just comes flying out from off screen and is hugging him, and both all the caddies are fist bumping and everything. So it was pretty cool to see. But Fred Funk's 64 years old. Only 3 guys have made cuts at 64 or older: Sam Snead, Tom Watson, and Jack Nicklaus. So pretty good list of golfers to be on.
I
mean, if you think
Funk
about
to that, it's pretty.
Add Funk to that. If you think about people who, if you're on a golf list with them, that's a pretty,
impressive list.
Pretty impressive list.
I mean, how many majors are there? How many wins are in that trio?
Yeah, no kidding.
Although I'm a little bit curious, is Bernard Longer 64 yet? Because I feel like it's a bit surprising that he's not on that.
It's just inevitable when he gets his 2022 Masters made cut or whatever it is.
He just, he probably just isn't that old yet. It's only another 5.
He seems to be playing well enough. Anyways, next up, the bad, Kristoffer Ventura. So, Adam had said there was a couple guys left out on the course, and I was thinking about it. I think potentially, so Kristoffer Ventura and Justin Suh, who we'll get to in a sec, were the 2 guys left on the course. But I think it was so ugly, conditions were so ugly that they basically figured, if we can do this tomorrow morning, then I would rather do that, because I think my chances of getting in and making the cut are so much better. But anyway, so Kristoffer Ventura went out. He had 1 hole left to play on Saturday morning to finish out his second round. He needed to make a par in order to make the cut, and he unfortunately made a bogey. So that's the bad, and it was tough to choose between bad and ugly this week.
Do you think he regrets not just getting that over with on Friday? Or
well, I think now he does, but if he would have done that on Friday, he's probably like, why didn't I just wait?
I mean, there's sleeping on the lead, then there's sleeping with 2 strokes left to make a par and get into the weekend. That's a whole different thing, and needing to wake up first thing in the morning.
But then you also you go through your warm up, and if he did make the cut, he would have been playing right afterwards anyway. So it would have just been, he's essentially playing 19 holes, starting a hole earlier.
Can you imagine warming up for half a hole of golf? That's kind of
these guys. It'd be just like playing his first hole of the day,
I know, but then you're done. You're like, well, I guess I got 16 hours of daylight left.
I'm usually just hoping to make contact on the first tee box of the day. It's like we grew up playing Quail Ridge, the course that we all worked at once upon a time, and you can hit a 5-iron and you hit it thin. It's out there. No worries.
You just don't want to pull it left into those trees.
No.
Okay, so last one here. Sorry, Justin Suh. So he was another guy who he had a hole to play as well, and he needed to make birdie. But the reason he needed to make birdie was because through a round and a half, he was -4 going on to his second 9 on Friday. He made 2 doubles, 2 bogeys, and so he had to come out. He ended up at +2 after that, and he had to go out and make a birdie after warming up and doing all that, and he ended up banking par and missed on the number. But yeah, going from -4 with 9 holes to go to very, very comfortably being inside the cut line. And this is for a guy who he doesn't have his card. Like I just feel bad for the guy, man.
Yeah. Well, and didn't he just need to pretty much make the cut to secure no status, or no?
He's still got work to do.
Back.
He's still, but it's more. He just needs the points. So making the cut and getting any kind of points is better than not. But it's just.
And he was right there at -4 going into the back 9.
Like, yeah, he was in great shape. Like he was that essentially at that point that was contention because everyone was moving backwards on Friday.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing with your bad and ugly there is that in DFS, those guys were both heavily owned. So there's people that are playing DFS.
It definitely changed the trajectory of my week in DFS.
I can get 6 of 6 through. I just need Ventura to close it out. No problem. I'll sleep easy. What the hell?
So I honestly, there was points where I was looking at my 6 of 6s and I was like, okay, yeah, so Saw for sure's in and blah. And yeah, they were not for sure's actually. No. I counted them a little early.
So, Craig, just before we move on, do you want to give a shout out to your boy Zalatoris here?
Yeah, so, I mean, in terms of people who needed to make the cut, Will Zalatoris, who's my boy, we spoke about him I guess it's almost a month ago now.
We talk about him every podcast. What are you talking about?
Well, I do like to bring him up every podcast. But I brought him up specifically on the My Boy episode. But yeah, so all he had to do was make the cut this week. I think he finished up tied for 16th. At the end of it, but he got enough points to get his special temporary membership, and so essentially that gives him unlimited sponsors exemptions for this season. So he'll get a bunch of starts, and likely he'll end up earning full-time tour status. Just essentially he has to finish inside the top 125, which he now. I think he's got 3 top 10s and 4 starts, and now a tied for 16th. So 4 out of 5 times he's been in the top 20.
Yeah, hasn't he only missed 1 cut on the PGA Tour since this year or something?
Yeah. Essentially he just needs to continue.
He's going to play his way on. Yeah. Adam, why don't you give us your 3 stars?
Yeah, my 3 stars. So I have a little bit of a theme this week. I'm going with the all-Canadian crew for my 3 stars. So my 3rd star is Roger Sloan, finished 8 under, tied for 16th. He's a 33-year-old from Merritt, BC. Which is I was going
to say, so typically the all-Canadian 3 stars, you're like, oh, okay, so Hadwin and Connors and Mackenzie Hughes.
Exactly. These are 3 Canadians that you don't see in every tournament, that's for sure. But Merritt, BC, just about an hour and a half away from our hometown, so that hits close to home. Over the past 2 years, he's made 8 cuts in his last 23 tournaments. So it hasn't been good kind of lately. His last top 20 was at the 2019 Safeway Open. So it's been over a year since he had a top 20. Nice. But 16th finish. It was great. Kevin, I think he was your low Canadian.
He was my low Canadian, yeah. I saw this coming.
Yeah, he resides in Houston. You saw it coming. I love it. He's in Houston now. And I mean, I think with most of the time when you get a top 10, you get into the next tournament, right? So the next tournament we have is the Houston Open. So unfortunately, he missed that. So he's going to be in the Monday qualifier for the Houston Open. I was taking a quick look at the list. There's 130 golfers for 4 available spots.
Ooh.
And it includes Justin Suh, who we just talked about. Tyler McCumber's been playing well. Anubhav Lahari, Akshay Patia, one of Craig's honorary boys, and Sahith Theegala, my boy. So, man, I just like these guys grind all like every single day of their careers to kind of move up in their position.
Not only are those guys you mentioned, but there's another 115 guys that are all capable of going out and shooting a 62 on any given day to
that
qualify.
Were the best players in their hometown, probably the best players in their college teams, and so on and so on.
Apparently, Sloan, right? Apparently, he also is a skier at Silver Star, so I think I'm gonna try to do the casual bump into him and be like, "Oh, hey, yeah."
Keep your 2 meters distance, all right?
Yeah, I won't bump into him.
Second star, Michael Gligic, finished 10 under, so slightly better than Sloan. Tie for 11th, so still didn't get that top 10 that we were looking for. But 31-year-old, he's played in 27 PGA Tour events in his career, making the cut in 12. But he's made the cut in 7 of his last 8.
I was going to say, but like the streak is awesome the last little bit.
So that's like a whole chunk of missed cuts and then 7 of 8 made cuts in the last 2 months here.
And then he Monday qualified recently, didn't he? Do you remember what tournament that was for?
I want to say Sanderson, but
it was either Sanderson or Shriners, I want to say.
Yeah, one of those.
Might have been Shriners. And yeah, you're right though. Because I thought I was going to ride the hot hand to a top Canadian.
Yeah.
And he was doing great until Sunday or something. Anyway.
There's a great Twitter account, Monday Q Info. They tweet out all about like the lesser tours and the Monday qualifiers and a bunch of stories. And they had a story about Gligic.
It's potentially the best golf Twitter. I mean, besides Grandstand Golf, obviously.
Besides ours.
Yeah. But in terms of like really deep behind the scenes stuff, you get down beyond the Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson end of the golf world.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite falls for sure.
Yeah.
But they tweeted out a story the other day or the other week, I think, when he Monday qualified, and basically maybe a decade ago when he was kind of coming on, he's 4 years of a pro career. He hung up his clubs and he's getting his real estate license. Decided like he wasn't going to make it, and he played a couple events with his buddies, shot 65 again and again. They're like, man, just like you still on the Canadian tour, just play in this next event. And he's like, guys, I literally can't. If I try to enter, my credit card will be declined. Like that's where he was.
Yeah.
So the club he played for raised some money for his next 3 events. Apparently he had only played 8 rounds in 6 months. Then the first event he went out and won.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then apparently I was reading the comments, so this isn't verified, that like in that next kind of streak of 3 or 5 events played, he set course records in like 3 of the 5 events or something. So when this guy's got it going on, he's got it going on. But yeah, a great finish, 11th. I saw on the Monday qualifier that he withdrew for the Houston Open Monday event, so I don't know what happened there, but unfortunately, I don't think we'll see him next week.
Oh, that's too bad. That would have been. He probably would have gotten a free start too if he would have gotten top 10, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, my first star, David Hearn, 11 under, tied for 8th. He was my pick as low Canadian, and
congratulations, congratulations.
41-year-old from Brampton. He's been doing this for a while. He's been grinding professional golf for 20 years. He turned pro in 2001. He's currently the same as Gligic. He has a top 50 from the 2019 Corn Ferry Tour. So I don't think quite the same kind of exemption status as the top 125 from the PGA, but they kind of get tournaments when they can. It's his first top 10 since the 2019 Bermuda Championship.
Nice.
So he's like, hey, there's something about this course that he
for course. I love it.
Horse for course.
Well, the other thing too, like they reshuffle. So these are, in terms of status, like getting these finishes for these guys at this time of year, this is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
So
I noticed he uses the sweeper too. I like that.
Yeah. So I was looking to see if he made the Houston Open event, and it looks like he's the first alternate now with his top 10. So if somebody drops out, which is probably pretty likely still on Sunday night that someone will drop out before Thursday, we'll see him in the Houston Open field.
Nice.
Right on.
So yeah,
hopefully you can parlay that into some more starts and keep the hot play going.
Well, it's just like these group of guys that I feel like punch are punching way above their weight right now. So it's really cool to see about that whole kind of professional golf story.
Yeah. Gotta love that gritty Canadian attitude, eh? That's what we like to think about ourselves anyways, right? All right, well, I want to talk a little bit about the Senior PGA Tour.
Well, sorry, just one. I was thinking, should we do stock up, stock down before we move away from this tourney?
Yeah, okay, let's do that. You're right. Let's do stock up, stock down. So, Craig, who do you got?
So, Kevin was fading him, but I'm going stock up
fade
on
bump.
Fade bump. Give
fade
Denny
bump.
McCarthy the fade bump. I really like this guy's game. He's an awesome putter. Adam had brought him up a few weeks back on one of our picks. I think maybe a sleeper or a pick. I forget which one it was. Videos, but basically, his ball striking is better than it has been in a while over the last couple months. And so if you are as good of a putter as he is, and I want to say this week he might have actually been first, but he was definitely top 5 in terms of greens and regulation. So, we don't have shot length stats from this, so we don't have full ball striking stats, but just the kind of guy I was talking about that I think can do well on this course. Not the longest hitter, but great putter, great short game. So to me, it's just, I think he's the type of person that on these kind of courses we need to think of him as a contender when it's not a place that favors the power game.
And just to kind of back that up, in 2020 he was first in putting, and in 2019 he was first in putting.
Yeah, like his putting is unreal. He's essentially, what was it, Corey Pavin, who was just a dominant putter back in the day?
Yeah,
I'm looking at you, Kevin. You're the one who's old.
I'm like barely older than you guys. Come
Basically a different generation.
Actually, I am
gonna
gonna talk about some elder statesmen here. So yeah.
But yeah, essentially he's probably the best putter on tour right now, Denny McCarthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to my stock down. This is someone who I think Adams maybe had him as a stock down, but
so you're gonna pile on.
So I'm gonna pile on Henrik
Stenson,
the
injured guy.
Henrik Stenson. It was a withdraw. I think it was a withdraw because he shot like a 43 or something on the front nine of his Friday. Maybe it was injury that caused that. Maybe you never know with these.
I thought he had an ankle, is what I heard on.
Well, they always have to give a reason, essentially.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's more just since the COVID restart, we have not really seen good golf from Stenson. He was a tied for 21 at Corrales Punta Cana, and he had a tied for 35th at FedEx St. Jude, which that's about the middle of the field. Like it is a better field, but there's only about 70 guys, I think, at the WGC events. So aside from that, he's played 6 tournaments. Those are 2 that he's had finishes in, essentially. He's got 3 missed cuts and a withdraw. So, we saw Stenson win last year. We haven't really seen him play any good golf yet. So it's just a little bit.
What event did he win last year?
Hero World Challenge, so a small field.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I mean, even aside from that, he had good finishes as well last year. So it's a little bit surprising. I don't know. Maybe there is an injury there that he withdrew because he had been trying to grind through it and he just didn't really see a point anymore. But it's just, I don't know where his game's at. It doesn't really look like he has it right now.
I think he has a podcast, so we could probably find out more if we listen to the pod.
I listened to the episode leading into the U.S. Open, I want to say. I was kind of trying to
And that's when you had him as a sleeper?
Yeah. And it was mostly about his sunglasses and sponsorship, so didn't give me much info.
Listen, I have Max Homa as my sleeper this week, and there may be a podcast that I listened to and a reason I made that pick. So anyways, Adam, who do you have moving up and moving down this week?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here, and I'm not going with the players. I'm going with the media broadcasting styles, I guess. So my stock up is a PGA Tour radio. Have you guys both had a chance to listen to this?
I second that. I have listened to it a couple times, and I love it.
Yeah, so basically for the Bermuda, they didn't have the typical feature groups on PGA Tour Live as we're used to before kind of the Golf Channel coverage kicks in, right? We get those couple feature groups and we can watch along. So we had PGA Tour Radio, and I've listened to it a couple times in the car, a couple times, doing yard work, that kind of thing. And they paint a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are so talented at what they do. They can tell you, they can explain a 10-foot putt over the course of 20, 30 seconds. And you feel like you can picture it in your mind, crystal clear. They just paint this word picture for you that feels like you're there. It's such like I feel like I'm
not only does it feel like you there, it feels like you're watching like the most majestic, beautiful game ever being played as it the ball careens towards the hole and suddenly veers gently towards but it just capped the lip and continued on.
What is like as for golf fanatics, like guys that are obsessed with golf like us, like that's the way I feel about it. And so to have these things actually
to effectively put it into words is difficult.
Exactly. Totally.
As someone that's podcasting and I hate the sound of my own voice, they talk you through it and you're just right there. I mean, this putt's heading towards the cup and it just breaks right and he missed it 6 inches to rolls past. And like, you're right there and they get excited at the right moments.
They capture the emotion very well.
They capture the emotion. Yeah, if people think, and sometimes golf can get this bad rap of being boring, but I mean, and you think of, okay, so take away the visuals of it, golf on the radio, how boring could that be? No, they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't actually listened to it yet. I've heard really good things, and so I got to get on that. I was kind of looking for something early coverage, honestly,
like sometimes even when we do have the golf TV free early featured groups, because they only cover the golfers they're covering.
A couple groups, yeah.
But PGA Tour Radio will cover the whole broadcast. So
yeah, they bounce around.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll just throw on the radio, do some chores, break some leaves, whatever.
So they're my stock up. My stock down is PGA Tour Live, the video portion of this. I just feel like it's not reliable right now and it's kind of stagnant. And I mean, when you have a radio product that is arguably better, there's something perhaps not reaching its potential there. So we had unreliable coverage with Tiger and the Zozo and the international feed with Golf TV. For me, I have really good internet here, but it's still freezing, it's stalling, that kind of thing. And I just feel like when you put it on the radio, I mean, you can go about your day in your car, you can work, you can do chores around the house, and you don't have to be tied down and sitting in front of the TV. And the other thing too is we have this tournament coming up. Have you guys heard of the Masters at Augusta National?
Oh yeah, I might have heard of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they have their own app. And last year, if you remember, they had every single video of every single golfer's shot almost within 30 seconds, it seemed like, or within 15 seconds of it happening, broadcasted straight to the app where you could live stream it. I mean, we're still kind of handcuffed to 2 featured groups with a spotty PGA Tour live. Like, we know
I think the Masters budget might be slightly higher than the Bermuda Championship. But I get what you're saying, but
like, we don't know what this ceiling is, but I just feel like they're just kind of sticking at the floor that they know. There's better things out there, and I think hopefully better things in the near future.
The other reality of it is that because they're covering so little golf, because doing this the feature groups aspect of it, at least they need to make it like the conversation. It needs to be essentially more like a podcast of people having an entertaining conversation about golf, whether it's totally unrelated or tangentially related stories. But you can't just rely on, okay, now we go to this hole where this person is making this putt for birdie, and then we go to this hole. Like, the action is not going to be the thing that carries it. So you really have to have the personalities to be able to carry it. And it's just, to me, it's a little bit, it's not the A team out there, but.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, a few years ago, the international product, I think, was held by DAZN. Who we get some of our football by. Some people will know in Canada, I'm sure elsewhere. So DAZN had it, and they had featured group and they had featured holes. Mm-hmm. And I actually liked watching the featured holes because the whole field would come by. They had something like, you could tell that's when they really did their homework, and they had something interesting about all of them. Yeah. So you hear these guys come through like a Roger Sloan, and they give you a little bit of backstory.
So that's, I mean, you know, comparing it to the Masters, when back in the day, I think it probably still is the case, but there's featured groups out there. But then there's also you can just watch Amen Corner, or you can just watch 15, 16. And I would always watch the holes because it is so entertaining to see how, you know, 50 different pros come through and all of their approaches to these holes. Like, to me, that's so interesting to watch.
Yeah. I'd usually watch the Tiger feed, but
that doesn't surprise me.
So for my stock up and stock down, I want to preface this based on the fact that this is 100% because of live hole betting, which I've started to dabble in more and more. And, you know, particularly for these tournaments where maybe the coverage is a little bit less than you might get at other tournaments, it kind of makes it a little bit interesting.
You're manufacturing some engagement there.
I'm manufacturing a little bit of excitement. And you know, at one point, like I said, it looked like Wyndham was going to kind of run away with this thing. So I was looking for something to keep it interesting. So I was grinding pretty hard on the hole by hole stuff. And so my stock up is Brian Gay, because I had him to birdie some holes and he birdied them. And those are to bet on a birdie, you always get pretty good odds for that.
Right.
Even holes that are supposed to be birdie holes, you typically get, you know, better than 1-to-1 anyways.
Yeah.
So Brian Gay, the birdie on 18, I had him having that, and it was thinking that, okay, I think this guy's going to make a birdie to put the pressure on Wyndham. And then I had Wyndham to birdie 18 to win it, which didn't happen. But when Brian Gay hit that shot on his 72nd hole and almost instantly said, "Go in the hole," I was like, "All right, I love it." He instantly became one of my boys right there. I was after Wyndham missed his birdie putt, which would have made me some money on the second hole. I instantly turned and put some money on Brian Gay to win the thing. So here's my stock.
I know I'm riding the horse that got me here.
Yeah, exactly. You are who I thought you were. So Brian Gay's my stock up. My stock down, Craig. I wanted to have this guy as my stock up so bad, but Doc Redman, come on, Doc. I had him to birdie the 17th and 18th holes. And 17th, he hit
like together or separately?
No, separately, two separate bets. And the 17th hole, par 5, he went 3 wood, was green side in 2, and I thought, it looked like a pretty straightforward up and down. I think I was running around the house with the kids doing something else. I was like, all right, this one's in the bank. What else can I bet on here?
Might as well put him on 18 too.
Exactly, and I did. And he ended up not getting it up and down. And then on 18, he had the putt for birdie and missed that one too. And this is all after on the 14th hole, I had him just randomly to birdie the 14th hole, and it was long odds, and he hit a beautiful putt that literally stopped hanging on the lip.
So that's when I started watching, and that's when I like, oh man, it's just not going to be his day. Like you need when you're charged. He was in the position where he had to charge, and you need those ones to go.
You need those ones totally. Yeah. And I thought, like I said at the top of the pod, I really thought he was going to be the one that was charging, and was going to take this. So I was kind of riding him early. And that one just hanging on the it looked like I was like, oh, it's dead, it's money, that putt is money. And then it just stopped right on the edge. I was screaming for a gust to come in. He walks up and taps it in pretty quick. I was like, just wait.
But that's the thing with that Bermuda too, is that like when you're against the grain, it's just like Velcro.
Yeah.
like it'll just like nope. I'm
man, it looks like those guys are pounding, and it just like it's going like it's just slamming on the brakes.
Yeah.
So it was funny because when I was thinking about stock up, stock down today, I was like, God damn it, Redman. But in reality, I Doc is somebody I'm going to continue to cheer for, but I was frustrated, and so I had to put that into context as to why I was a little down on Doc.
It's not like Cantlay a few weeks ago, where you like weren't sure you could be a fan of his
anymore. Yeah, Cantlay was kind of the same thing. I had some stakes on him too, so. It's kind of a what have you done for me lately kind of attitude I have.
I get it.
But yeah, so I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Champions Tour event. It was the Timber Tech Championship this week. And,
so I was super worried when it went to the playoff. Like Golf Channel like cut to the split screen for a second, and then I was like,
I thought they were gonna go.
I thought they were just gonna go, and I was like, oh man, like I am not gonna be. I'm gonna cancel my Golf Channel if you. I wouldn't.
And it was early. It's still pretty early. Like they're still on the front nine. I think
I'm watching someone I've never heard of on the 13th hole while this is in a playoff.
Yeah. So Darren Clarke won. It was his first Champions Tour win in his 40th start. Interesting note, he was penalized early in the week in his second round, I think, for picking up his ball in the fairway because he thought they were playing improved lies. So he marked his ball and picked it up, and then he was like, oh shoot. So he had a stroke penalty.
Who was that? Wasn't that John Rahm that did that on the green? We thought he had marked it.
He just didn't mark it. He just picked it right up.
I haven't seen the clip, but I'm just picturing him like going like on the ball, hitting on his shirt. His playing partner's like, dude, you can't do that. That's a penalty.
So then Clarke went on that hole that he picked it up. He ended up hitting his approach over the green, which would have been his third shot, and then he chipped in for par anyway.
Nice.
Yeah,
no harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. So yeah, good for him. He said that after his last victory, which was on the PGA Tour, I want to say it might have been the Open Championship. He won that pretty late in his PGA Tour career. Maybe one of you can look that up.
I'll take a look. Yeah, I'll take a look here.
Anyway, he said that he was drunk for a week after his last victory. He says he doesn't think that's gonna happen this time. So
I feel like I distinctly remember him drinking, either like posting photos of him with the claret jug, and you could just see him, and he's like, "You're like this guy's deep in it."
he's a little pretty happy. Yeah, he's celebrating.
His last win is 2011 Open Championship.
Yeah,
there you go.
So. Nice to see him back in the winner's circle there, and I think there's also something funny about how, due to a visa thing, this was going to be his last tournament this year on the Champions Tour, so he was kind of looking to finish strong and managed to do that. So good on him. I also wanted to mention Tom Kite. So Tom Kite is 70 now, which to me was shocking. He shot the first two rounds this week. He shot 67 and 70.
That's absurd.
To be 6 shots back going into the final round, and he ended up not playing very well today. But I saw this thing on Instagram with him, and he just talked about how, talking about golf and kind of a more overview of golf, and how, there's so many things that he appreciates about golf and what golf has done for him, and just one of those things is constantly trying to improve and hitting the practice green and hitting the range. And here's a guy that he's grinding. He's a Hall of Famer, 19 PGA Tour wins, I believe, and he's just grinding because he had to finish in get a certain finish to keep his status on the Champions Tour. And he's just grinding to try to keep that career going, And it was shocking to me that this guy is 70. This Tom Kite he finished second when Tiger won the Masters in 97. He was towards the tail end of his PGA Tour career then, but he's somebody I vividly remember growing up watching. And I was going to
say, I think I had a PC golf game.
I was going to say, that's the one thing I remember him from. I forget what game that was.
He was either in the cover or he's one of the 5 featured
There's only 5 pros or something. Yeah. Nick Price was the best player.
I don't know. He's just a guy that I've always kind of had respect for, and watching him at 70 grinding and trying to put together, to shoot 67 and 70 when you're 70, it's incredible. Shooting your age is the holy grail in golf, and this guy shoots 67 when he's 70. Come on, it's unreal. So yeah, just a lot of respect for what he did in the first 2 rounds, especially, and just what he's what he kind of stands for in golf, and how much he respects golf. The other thing I wanted to bring up this week that I thought was great was all the golf Halloween costumes. Yeah. I saw a lot of Tiger ones out there with the red mock, and sometimes with a guy in a white jumper accompanying him carrying the bag. And then, but my favorites for sure. And I told Craig this earlier. I think I got to find something for my son next year. My son will be 3 next year. But some kids with just like these tiny green jackets on with like the red golf shirts and the tiger hats. And then they got their parents in the white jumpers holding their candy.
That's really funny.
They were pretty awesome. And Weir's son actually had the little green jacket on with the all black that Mike Weir won. Wore when he won it. So yeah, there's some pretty awesome ones I saw.
Some Harry Higgs babies out there. They actually tweeted at him like a week ago maybe, and Harry Higgs I think called out a few of his sponsors. He's like, hey, can you send a kit to them that like will actually fit this kid?
Nice.
So they have like the open collar and his sunglasses.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
he would have been a good caution this year for sure. Wish I had thought of that.
Not many people maybe.
I don't know if you could pull it off, Kev.
I could pull it off. Come on. It's all about the attitude.
Maybe more Will Zalatoris.
Well, either way.
Well, I think we've beaten this week to death.
Yeah. I think we have to. So let's briefly, next week we got the Houston Open. Adam, you want to tell us a little bit about that course? I know you've been looking into it a bit.
Yeah, so it's the first time at the Memorial Park golf course. I saw again on Twitter, someone posting the rates, and they're like $25, $30, $35 a round. Municipal golf course.
Those are American dollars, so that's like
100, 150 Canadian. Complete redesign leading up to this year, and Brooks Koepka actually helped with the redesign. I was reading a little bit about it. They didn't lengthen it at all. They actually took out 30 of the 50 bunkers.
Does Brooks not like playing in the bunkers? He's like, get rid of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so this hole's gonna have to go this way because that's my preferred. They're all going this way now.
Sounds shady.
So they'll be interesting. There's actually quite a good number of players. Like I think DJ's playing. A lot of guys trying to get their maybe working on some things before the Masters. Molinari is playing in one of his first
DJ's playing, That surprises me a bit. I guess he's trying to. I mean, he had to miss because of COVID, so he wants competitive reps before the Masters. I mean, it does make some more sense than other people, but I definitely know who the favorite's going to be.
Jordan Spieth is playing. Craig, I know you love to feature him as.
So you're saying that you'll take Spieth versus my DJ?
I just don't want Spieth to play that well that he ruins my Masters odds at all.
I think we've decided on our Spieth Garcia stakes. I think we're looking at a 6-pack of local craft beer for the winner. Yeah,
Spieth versus Garcia, Masters 2020 in November. Straight up
finish.
Six beers from the local brewery.
I'm gonna have to figure out who I can get to be a part of this too.
You can have Weir.
Hey, he's playing good right now.
Hey, I know.
So, okay, we've already been tiptoeing around at Masters.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Masters a little bit here. Okay. We're 2 weeks out now, 1 week from Masters week starting, which is an important event in and of itself.
Have you seen the pretentious videos they've been posting on Twitter?
Are you kidding me? Of course.
It's like I was looking at Bermuda Championship posts on the PGA Tour's Twitter account. It's getting like 10 comments and 50 likes or something, and then the Masters post someone painting a curb and it's like 10,000 likes, hundreds of comments. I'm like, oh my god! But it's
like the most absurd things. Like tomorrow we're gonna see them like folding over the toilet paper and people like, oh, I can't wait for
someone
the Masters.
Like raising a flag and wrapping the rope slowly around the bags.
Or the one, I think the one.
So my wife last week. I got to tell you this. My wife last week says, so I've booked a family photo session for November 14th. Is that going to be a problem? I said, do you want to see what I've been watching on Instagram for the last 2 weeks? Watch them unlocking the gates at Augusta.
I was telling my wife about these videos that they've been posting, and she's like, is it like ironic or like are they like tongue in cheek? And I'm like, no, these are like the most straightforward, set to like nice piano music.
Nice piano music that builds to a crescendo. That's like it's like Christmas Eve for us golf fans. It's like,
well, the one today was
I'm excited.
Like setting the cup and then like the scissors going around like
that was awesome.
Was they're not even getting any grass. Like, give me a break.
Oh, he got some grass. That cup was perfect after.
I didn't like the technique they used to get that auger into the ground.
Come on, Craig.
It was like they started at the top and they twisted. Like, no wonder they had to cut around. You gotta get through that first layer of thatch there with a little bit of.
So you set courses for a couple years up in Canada. And you think you're gonna tell the guys at Augusta National how to set a pin?
Yeah, I think I should.
Okay, we're veering way off track here. So the current odds, I just wanted to touch upon it briefly. I got the top 10 odds here, and these are Bet365 is the source for these odds. So we got DeChambeau at 8-1, JT 10-1, Rahm 10-1, DJ 12-1, Rory 12-1, Xander 14-1.
So sorry, I'm just going to stop you real quick there. So DJ, if you do potentially want to take DJ, I was thinking that basically these are all going to be locked in because none of these guys are going to be playing this week. But if DJ does do well this week, that's going to move. So
I would say you're not going to, and it's not going to move down at this point.
It's never going to move down.
It won't.
If he missed the cut, he's still going to be 12-1. So So the rest of the top 10: Koepka 18, Cantley 25, Reed 28, Hatton 28, Bubba 28, and our defending champion.
No, that's top 10. We don't need it.
Defending champion, Mr. Woods, is 35-1, which unfortunately is not what I got him at when I put my my bet in after the President's Cup. He was looking like a pretty much a sure thing at that point to defend. So,
sure.
Anyway, I have a few intriguing ones down here. Morikawa 33-1.
No,
Finau,
can't do it.
35.
First timers
40. Spieth 55.
We'll talk top 10, I guess, first because that makes the most sense. Anything jump out at you there?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it a little bit, and it would make me kind of nauseous. But Bubba at 28, a two-time Masters champion who's playing
lefty,
well
which
going
the
into
course
it.
sets up so well for lefties.
That's pretty good. I might
especially
have to
compared to Reed or Hatton. I would take Bubba, I think.
Every once in a while,
I don't mind. Honestly, I don't mind Reed or Hatton.
Every once in a while, I put in a safety bet. I call it. I bet on Koepka.
Someone you don't want to win.
Yeah, when Koepka was going for his defending his PGA Championship title at Bethpage, I put in a safety bet on Koepka because it just seemed like he was going to win for sure, and I didn't want to see it. So at least you win a bit of money, you know.
I don't mind Xander there at 14 either.
I think I also just got to take a moment here and explain that my gambling on golf all began in 2018 with I decided to deposit $20 because Tiger was coming back at the Masters, and I had to get on that train because he was gonna win. While I was a year too early there, my I spread that $20 out across a few players, and the last one I picked was Patrick Reed at 55-1. I had a couple bucks on him, and that was $110. That was a defensive play, and I was like, oh, this guy. At the time, I didn't have quite the feelings I do now about him, but that has managed to carry me on this whole time, and I keep kind of rolling it over. So I hit Gary Woodland at 80-1 at the U.S. Open, and that kind of carried me on for another little
80-1, that's nice.
Anyways, so I mentioned this because while we talk about the top 10, it's often these guys that are not maybe afterthoughts, but like, oh, this guy's got a chance. Like, you guys see anybody like that out there that you have your eyes on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could start here. I have my eyes on a few people, and I might be dropping some Masters content in the next few days, so watch out for that. But a guy that is, I think, currently 50-1, maybe 55, depending on the book, is Justin Rose.
Yeah.
So, major winner. He won the 2013 U.S. Open. He missed the cut last year at the Masters on the number. His last 9 Masters before that, he hasn't done worse than 20th.
And let me add this. I was thinking about fading him. So that means
that's a plus right there.
You know,
he's got a second in 2017, a second in 2015. He's got a whole bunch of top 10s. I don't necessarily know. I need to do more research. But someone that just seemed a little bit too high for a major winner. Good experience at Augusta, which I think weighs heavily. And he's priced higher than first timers.
Yeah. So I like it. I also think there's someone, I don't have it open anymore, but another guy who's right around him there is Oosthuizen, who to me, he's a classic. Like, if you can get him at longer odds than someone that's around 20 or 30, I want to say he was at 55 as well. But he's someone who, you know, that he can come in and win a big tournament against a big field. Just because when his good, like, there's people where their good weeks are going to be top 10s in these kind of fields, but there's people who you know that they can actually go and win it. And he's one of them. The other one to me that was the first one I saw that seemed appealing is Matthew Fitzpatrick at 60-1. I
like that.
To me, he is so. I've done an absurd amount of stats running through every Masters since the ShotLink era. So 2005 forward, and putting is super relevant here, which is obvious when you think about it.
Yeah.
But he punches way above his weight in terms of how he looks as a fit at the Masters compared to what his normal strokes gained are, because of they're weighted differently, and I want to say he's potentially a top 10 in terms of right now at this point going into the Masters, who has the best probability of winning it. I mean, that's just based on the model that I've made, so take it for what it's worth, but I just think there's tons of potential value there.
Yeah, I like that play.
So for me, the first guy that kind of jumps out at me is my boy Finau at 35-1. I know that the results haven't been there for Finau as far as wins, but when you look at what he's done and his finishes, I just feel like it's only a matter of time. And this was part of what I talked about on the My Boy podcast, is that I wanted him to just break through and get that victory. But he's so solid. His game is so solid that it can come at a venue like this. And, you know, last year he was playing in the last group. And I just feel like at 35-1, that's a huge, what do you call it? A discount or whatever.
Right,
it's a huge value compared to all these guys in the top 10, you know, like
same model. He's fifth in my model.
Yeah. And, you know, he's got all the tools that these other guys have. He just doesn't quite have that killer instinct, or seemingly have that killer instinct to get the wins. But he's right there with all those other guys in all these big tournaments. So he's a guy that jumps out at me for sure. And there's no doubt that I'm going to be putting a little bit of money on him, because
everyone thinks he's very reliant on the driver, which is not a huge. I mean, it still is a player like it is everywhere else, but it's not as much a part of his game as people think it is, because of how far he hits it. People think of him as a long ball hitter, and he's gaining strokes off the tee, but he's not. He has a very balanced game. His approach game is rock solid.
You love to talk about his hands and his feel, Craig. I mean, I
love to talk about his hands and his feel. But he's the one who I say you should base your game off, Adam, because big man golf.
It's pretty much already there. Besides a couple tweaks, it's pretty much
just about but he can obviously play the course. You know, like he's proven that he can play. I think he's only played it.
So, okay,
twice.
2018.
He never finished outside the top 10, right? Am I right?
He was 10th. Also on like an ankle, he snapped into place on Wednesday after his hole-in-one. And then he was 5th in 2019. The other thing, just looking at his Wikipedia right now, of his last 10 majors, he's top 10, I think, in 7 of them.
Yeah. So
that's pretty good.
At 35-1,
yeah.
I mean, whatever that's going to translate to a top 10 is like money in the bank. So look at that one. Maybe another guy. I just I was in scrolling through the odds. Somebody like if you're looking for value, I saw Ian Poulter at 125-1, and yeah, of course he's a huge long shot to win it, but he is the kind of guy that's cocky enough and has played well enough at Augusta that hell, he could make a run at it. You know, like Between those guys, I think around there's a couple guys at 50, 55, like we were talking, Oosthuizen, Craigie, like Fitzpatrick at 60-1, but between that and then I think there's a big kind of gap in guys I don't really see, like you say, I don't really see winning. They might have a solid week and top 10 or whatever, but somebody like Poulter, if he gets up there, he doesn't care if he top 10s at Augusta. He wants to win it. So it's guys like that. But I also think
a guy like Poulter, I would potentially also wait to see what his top 10 and top 20, because he's someone with those guys who are longer shots. That's where maybe you stack them with whatever your stakes are. You put 1 unit on win, 1 unit on top 10, 1 on top 20, and then if they do win, then you get all that. If they top 10, you get the 10 and the 20.
I love the older guys with experience for the top 10, top 20s. The other guy, I don't know what his outright odds are, is I feel like I always click on him for the Masters, is Cooch. I mean, 4 of his last 8 tries here, he's top 8 or better, and he hasn't been worse than 46.
I'm sorry, I just had a little.
Hey man, like think what you want of the guy, but he gets it. Like he just backdoors into these top 10s at Augusta. That's what he does.
Yeah. Anyone honestly, up high that you guys like? Or are you shying away from the top 10? Top 5 maybe.
So again, I placed some wagers at after the President's Cup, and then I also on the pod told you the DJ was going to win the next 6 majors. So I have already staked JT and DJ.
In the next 6.
Well, DJ, no, it ends at this Masters for now. But both those guys, I can see taking it down for sure. I'm hoping just for golf's sake that DeChambeau doesn't go and break Augusta like some people are predicting he will. I don't think he will, but
watch out for my video. I've got a video coming out on whether.
So I feel like there's a guy hanging there. It's a low hanging fruit for you, Craig. Who are you looking?
So I keep trying to come back to him. I keep trying to get you guys to ask me who I like. Xander at 14-1 just seems like unreal value. So I mean, first off, we know he's a gamer. We know he can play in big tournaments. Yes, he does not yet have a major, but he was second tier last year. All signs point to him being the type of player who's going to win a major sooner rather than later. And I don't know. To me, with the way he's played over the past month or 2 months, getting him at 14, I'll take it. He was a favorite over some of these guys 2 weeks ago.
You know what? I really think if looking through this top 10, you could talk yourself into any one of them. 100%. Honestly, you could totally make a case for any one of them. The one guy I think is I think he's priced too high is Koepka. Just based on
I feel like
just based on recent like
one good stat for that. Okay, I'm just going to say one good stat because I don't think I'll get there myself, but I want to throw this out. Brooks has 4 major championships in his last few years, right?
Yeah.
Since his first win, he's only played in the Masters once. So he's only played the Masters once as a major champion, and he finished tied for second.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably won't get there because I have health concerns, but
there's just too many guys that have been playing well coming into this. For Koepka, he's still kind of finding his way back. I feel like, and he could totally prove me wrong. Look at my fades. So
I was going to say with Brooks, with Brooks, I feel like there's some guys where you kind of feel like they have to be on form and then they're going to go out there and win when they're in form. With Brooks, I feel like he could have not played golf in the last 3 months and he could come in and win a tournament against all the top players. Like he's such a kind of enigma that I don't like to put too much weight into anything that Brooks has been doing. And
that's probably why I don't click him, is because he's so hard to predict.
Yeah, let Brooks be Brooks, and I don't love the short odds here, just because, like to me, I don't think I would go any shorter than Xander, just because I don't know, like Yeah, I guess I could talk myself into any of those guys, but I would rather look at the guys who I think are maybe in the Patrick Reed, Tyrrell Hatton, where you're getting them at double what you're getting, or 3 times what you're getting these top guys at.
Okay, guys. I got one more bet I need to mention. So one of my favorite bets with the Masters, and if you want to play these guys up top, like the Rahm, the JTs, the DJ, one of my favorite things to do is you pair a whole whack of them for a made cut parlay. Because it's a weaker field. You have all these past champions. It's everyone within 10 strokes. Most of these guys are going to get through. So if you get like,
you don't think Sandy Lyle's going to be knocking them out?
Yeah,
I don't think so. But you can package all these guys.
I hope you're not putting Weir in that weaker field. You just watch.
Hey, I didn't name names. I'm not naming names over here. But you can pair all these guys. You can get a whole whack of them, and you can get some pretty good odds for just making the cut, being within 10 strokes of the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart bet.
I'm not as into like stacking a whole bunch of things and parlaying them like you are, but it's just because I haven't wrapped my head around it yet. I feel like once I get it, then I'll get there. Yeah.
Right on. So, I mean, we're gonna talk about a lot of Masters coming up.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna do a full Masters preview pod. So consider that a bit of a tease for it.
Yeah, we can't. We just can't. We can't help ourselves, can we?
We get carried away.
Yeah. Adam, anything else you wanted to say on the way out here?
I feel like, is that a tease to me?
No, I'm just maybe you got something you want to say.
Public service announcements. All our American listeners, we appreciate you. Go out on Tuesday, your election day. Go vote. Practice compassion. Be safe, please. I mean, we're up here in Canada. I just want to make sure everyone's safe for Tuesday and whatever happens afterwards. Just practice compassion. Take care of your neighbor out there.
As we say here in BC, just be kind. Just be kind.
Yeah. What do you guys have going on this week?
Yeah, so kind of our typical schedule. We will drop a Euro video sometime early this week. Then we'll follow that up with some Houston Open videos, probably picks and sleepers. And then Wednesday night, as always, we'll be live on our Twitch show, 9 p.m. Eastern. Grandstand Golf is our username there.
And just in addition to that, I think we're going to get our first Masters videos out as well. So just go over to YouTube and subscribe if you want to be notified when those come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, always you can find all our content on grandstandgolf.com. Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And we look forward to talking more golf with you in the future. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.